Julia Remende. Here. Larry Schneider. Here. Lennox Modair.
Here.
Michael Wright.
Here.
Marvin Perilou.
Here.
Thomas Malik.
Here.
Jacqueline Hotard. Here. We do the quorum.
Okay. I'd like to amend the agenda tonight for an ordinance 1716 for discussion tonight. Could we add this to the agenda? I have a motion to amend the agenda for ordinance 1716.
What is that?
It's on the professional service contracts. Finance agenda, correct. Okay, have a motion.
You can't make a motion as a chair. He made the motion, but he can't make it.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Modair and a second by Mr. Snyder.
I'd like some clarity on what exactly the motion,
We're adding this item to the agenda.
when you say this, what,
We don't have it. I received the email. Everybody should have got an email about an item that was supposed to be on the agenda today.
can you read
Professional
that?
service contracts.
Can you read it out loud so the public is aware of what we're, when, did y'all send it?
Mr. Green, could you come and give us some directions on this ordinance?
Keith Green Jr. with the District Attorney's Office. There are two separate things. You're mentioning the ordinance. Ordinance. So I don't know what it is that you're wanting to add to. Did you want to add a discussion of the ordinance, or the contract that?
The ordinance and the contract that's supposed to be tied to the West Bank Safety Complex. That's
Okay. Well, it's two separate things. There was an ordinance passed back in last year, but then there was a contract that was
Correct.
recently
The
submitted.
the contract and the attorney that's involved in the legal part of that contract.
Okay, so you want to put the contract on the agenda?
Correct.
Okay.
That's tied to that ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the,
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, is the purpose of placing the contract on the agenda to approve or deny or discuss the contract?
To discuss the ordinance that supports that contract.
Okay, so if you want to discuss the ordinance that supports that contract, I would advise you actually put discussion of the ordinance on your agenda.
Okay.
If that's what it is that you're wanting to
We
do.
want to
If
have
you
a
want to talk
discussion
about
of the ordinance and the contract.
Well,
I don't know where we are. Can we talk? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Right. Because we actually received an email and we requested that we have a meeting. I think there was a request for us, or if we wanted to put it on, and because we had new people that weren't familiar with it, we requested a meeting. So is that the same thing you're talking about?
I didn't get a request
No,
for a
the
meeting. so
email
I'm
I
not
got
sure.
stated that
From,
that was an item that
from,
was supposed to
an
be
email from?
from legal, from Mrs. Schmel, I think, that the item was supposed to be placed on the agenda, and it was refused to be placed on the agenda.
It was refused?
It wasn't placed on the agenda.
Well,
I'm
that was,
just telling you about the
that was
email
my
I have.
question. I sent an
Okay.
email today asking about the agenda, the item.
And I think Ms. Laverne sent an email in response to Ms. Schmills, when she asked about putting it on the agenda, she requested a meeting to discuss it.
Actually,
I think, did that come from you, Jackie?
yeah, that
Or
came
Ms.
from
Schmills?
Jackie. Yeah,
came
yeah,
from
the
Okay.
DA's office.
Council Secretary.
We weren't included on that email.
Okay.
So
Because
that
the
was the
email-
purpose of the email that I sent.
If I may, the email was directed to myself, and I forwarded email to Ms. Landash informing her the fact that, as the parish president referenced, we have a new person, CFO. I understand the previous CFO was involved in those discussions, and because he's not familiar, we wanted to have a meeting, and I believe that Ms. Landash did respond to my email stating the fact, thank you. Now, what she did with that email, if she forwarded on, I'm not really clear.
Okay, so can we put this on the agenda for the next meeting? Okay.
Well, but you guys are the councils, whatever, however you guys want to handle
Okay,
it.
we have a motion. Let's have a discussion.
You don't need
Well, you
a
can't
motion.
have a discussion unless
Well,
you vote on
Ms.
it.
Hotard was
Well,
actually asking for
vote
a
on the motion on the floor.
clarification
We're going to
of
discuss
the
the
motion that
ordinance
was-
and the contract on this. Okay, could Mr. Madej withdraw his motion on this item?
Yes. He
Thank
did that,
you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the first item we have is Mrs. Jean Stewart, bid opening, construction for the Lucy Levy Trail Project Phase 1.
Good evening, Council. Bid openings today for the Lucy Levy Trail. There were 4 bids. LA Contracting Enterprise LLC of Thibodaux, Louisiana, $358,165. Durr Heavy Construction LLC of Harahan, Louisiana, $409,299. Barrier Construction Company LLC of Booty, Louisiana, $274,145. And Pipeline Constructions and Maintenance Incorporated of Houma, Louisiana, $487,317.97. Administration recommend that this bid be put under advisement.
Okay, we heard from administration. A motion from Mr. Perilou, second by Mr. Snyder. Use your lights.
Thank you.
Jack was in. Just to take him on there.
Okay, that carries unanimously. Next item we have is Ms. Laverne Toombs and Mrs. Mara Alexis, authorization to execute a renewal with Pivotal Engineering LLC for inspection services for the CDBG Isaac Housing Program. Correction to announcement of votes in the minutes. The incorrect announcement of the vote was announcing that the motion table had failed. The correct announcement should have been the motion to table passed. The votes were 4 yeas, 3 absent, 1 abstaining, and 1 against, with the majority of the council present voting to table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item was mistakenly announced without action, and when it was actually tabled, the corporate resolution was provided the day after the last meeting and is attached to the agreement in the council booklet. The agreement is legally sufficient to continue providing inspection services, and administration recommends approval.
Okay, we heard from administration. Motion. Have a motion from Mr. Snyder for approval. And
Actually, the council put it on there for the correction.
Right, we actually advised, we sent an email to Jackie advising her of how to correct the voting errors or the announcement of voting errors from the previous meeting. And so she informed me that there were 3 specific items that the items actually passed, but they were called as failed. And so in preparing for tonight's meeting, we suggested that that Jackie placed the specific item on the agenda. She's supposed to indicate what the incorrect announcement was and what the correct announcement should have been, and why. Yes, you all need to vote on that. Yes, well, because the minutes have to be corrected. So
the minutes were corrected before they were presented. The minutes are being presented.
in the consent agenda.
The minutes are correct.
No, I corrected him
Said
in the
it
book
wrong.
already.
Mm-hmm.
The video was right. She repeated the video wrong. That's the only thing. Her words were different from what.
But I'm not sure if there were any actions that should have been taken because of the incorrect. Well,
Corrected it before it hit the minutes.
I'm talking about the action of the voting. So if you all voted for something and it failed, but it actually passed,
This one passed.
okay? And so because this one passed, then whatever that motion was goes into effect.
Yeah, so we don't even vote. We don't vote twice on the same contract.
No, but I think I would highly advise you all to vote to correct that, but you don't have to. You all are the council. You can do what you want, of course.
Can I ask something?
And it's also to place the public on notice to let them know that that was correct.
Ms. Robotham?
A couple questions, and I think what we were thinking was that there was going to be a correction to the minutes, and as long as this council adopted the minutes as corrected, then it stood. There was a concern about whether our item as written could be placed back on this agenda in the same, with the same verbiage, because you thought it was no action. But in actuality, the item was tabled. So should they be removing this item from the table? No, the first one was tabled. The second one actually passed. But the first one and the third one were tabled. So should the action be to remove the item from the table, then approve it?
So what I would suggest is approve this change or this correction, and now we're back to square one. So now the item is properly back on the agenda. Then you can make your motion to table.
It's already tabled.
It's already tabled, is what you're saying. What I'm saying is, I'm just saying, I think you all should just correct that, but if y'all are fine with that, that's fine. If we're gonna agree that it is tabled, make a motion to take it off the table if you want to consider it. There we go.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Snyder to take off the table, and a second from Mr. Perilou. Use your lights. That carries unanimously.
Now we make a motion to approve it?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion from Mr. Perilou and a second from Mr. Mallett to approve. Use your lights. That carries. Okay, the next item we have is Mrs. Alexander Carter.
That was approved.
Authorization to enter an agreement with the University of New Orleans for the graduate student to provide professional planning and coastal management services. Correction to announce of votes and minutes. The incorrect announcement of the vote was announcing that the motion to approve failed. The correct announcement should have been that the motion to approve passed. The votes were 4 yeas, 3 absent, 2 against, and with the majority of the council present, voting to approve. That one's just passed, okay? Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Okay, the next item we have is Mrs. Alexandra Carter. Mr. Green?
We just wanted to let you guys know which contract you all actually approved for the University of New Orleans. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. The contract that was approved at the meeting on July 24th was not reviewed by the District Attorney's Office because the motion was to approve the contract with the inclusion of a clause. Yes, ma'am. So we just wanted to just let you guys know that.
And just to add to that, you're correct. We followed your motion, which was to approve the agreement with the addition of the designee. However, Ms. Carter did send the document to legal and did receive a response that it was legally sufficient. So yes. No, actually, you voted predicated on adding a designee, but we still sent it anyway.
Good. Okay.
Right, so we just wanted the council to be clear that the document that you all voted to approve for signature was the original one that was not reviewed by us. But we did communicate with Ms. Carter, and we did craft a document that we did deem legally sufficient on August 8th. But that one was not approved by the council.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Madair.
Okay, so the one that's approved is the one that was originally presented, except for one part that was changed, that Mr. Designee.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the one after you reviewed it, okay, and we found some items in there that you thought probably needed to be adjusted.
Yes, sir.
But we can't go back and do that because we already approved this
Right.
one.
That is correct.
Okay, and that's my part exactly what I've been trying to make to this council.
Y'all didn't approve the document.
I understand about the document, but when they reviewed the document, there was some issues in the document. But there's nothing we can do about it now because it's been approved. If that motion had included based on the review of legal, okay, then we've been able to make those changes. But because we didn't do it, was not able to make those changes. And I saw one of the items that was in there where it mentioned about these individuals purchasing something, and when they leave, they can take it. Okay, and so that's what I'm trying to make sure everybody understands, the importance of letting legal look at all these documents, because ever since we were small, they always tell you, look at the contract, but read the fine prints. Okay, and when that's why legal is there to look at these contracts, to make sure not one single item or anything is not in the best interest of the parish. Now, we vote on a document that's going to be approved that possibly have some issues in it that's not completely in the beneficial of the parish. And that's
Not true.
People can shake your head if you want. It's in there.
Just for clarification purposes, the motion was very specific, and that was addressed immediately, and then forwarded to the district attorney. I think there was a request for a W-9, a request for something else, and some other changes that Ms. Carter actually made. So, again, we didn't sign the document without it being deemed legally sufficient to move forward. Now, that original document, and I know it wasn't sent to legal, I don't think, on time, but it was in the council booklet the entire time, the one that I think Mrs. Snyder had read and asked that we add the designee. So it was available the entire time. So in essence, the motion was to authorize us to enter into an agreement with UNO, which was approved. The actual document itself was finalized through legal, and that is the one that's being signed. But our specific request was not that you approve the document, that you authorize us to enter into an agreement with UNO, and the document was finalized by legal.
Mr. Mardin?
Okay, let's get all this straight. Okay, whatever you send to legal is for them to look at it and to make sure everything that's on there is in the best interest of the parish. That's what legal responsibility is, okay? That document was sent to them late. They did not have a chance to go through that entire document.
It was actually in the booklet.
I said they did not. I was in the office when that document came across.
But it was in the booklet.
So I don't care why it was in the booklet. I say legal. I don't care what's in the booklet. Everything in the booklet is not legal. The book don't make it legal. We make it legal.
But they get the booklet, right?
They get the booklet.
Okay. Well, the document was in the booklet.
That's right. One at a time.
One at a time.
Explain it to the council, to the parish president, one at a time. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that document was sent to them late. So they did not have the proper time to look at it. And that's the bottom line. And then we discussed it and voted on it, and one change was made, but Mr. Snyder made that change. But then when legal got a chance to look at the document the next day, they found 9 other situations where something had to be changed. I'm not right? Am I right?
I recall that, yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying, when we send these documents to legal, that's what their job is supposed to be, and that's their responsibility. So when it comes back to us and say it's sufficiently legal, then we vote on it, okay? So what I'm saying is stop voting on things that legal have not properly had the chance to look at. That's the point I'm making, and any other conversation or any other comment don't have anything to do with what the procedure should be. That they should have ample enough time to look at these documents, and that's all I'm saying. Equal enough time. And we don't have all this back communication while we talking.
Thank you, Mr. Mardin. Any more questions on this item? Mr. Green?
I just wanted to just clarify that, so, Madam President, you're indicating tonight that the document that the parish will execute is the one that our office deemed legally sufficient on August 8th.
That is correct. The one that Alex sent you the day after, which wasn't required by the motion, because the motion was very clear. But because we wanted you guys to review it, it was sent to you, and the corrections that you sent were made, and the document was determined to be legally sufficient. I think we've advised you all on several occasions, whatever you do at this meeting, whether it's contingent, we don't sign the document until we get that clarification or that determination from legal counsel. So that was the case this time as well.
One other question.
Mr. Made?
Okay, so you're telling me that the document that you're gonna sign, all the correction that was sent to the council, those 9 listed items have been changed?
That is correct, and we received an email back saying the document was legally sufficient to move forward.
So those changes are made?
Yes,
in that
sir.
document?
For time number
Okay,
5.
well, I hope so. I hope so.
I think we said that.
Well, did you, hey, is that the same document you reviewed?
Yes, sir, it's right here.
With all the changes that you listed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you received that?
We sent it, I want to say maybe we received it on the 7th, we replied probably on the
Okay,
8th
well, let's go back
of
to
August.
let's go back to the meeting. The document that we approved.
You didn't
was not
approve a
that one.
document.
What we did? What did we approve?
Very specifically, you
I
authorized,
asked the lawyer.
well, read the item.
The document that was provided to you all was presented, placed in the council booklet. From
As a
our
draft.
standard, from our perspective, from legal perspective, that is the document you approve or authorize the parish president to sign. The parish president is indicating to you that when you designate her or give her the authority to execute an agreement, she will only execute the agreement after it's been approved by legal counsel or after it's been deemed legally sufficient. So what
And that
I
is
could
what we've done.
advise is that, perhaps the council may want to decide to create a rule that will actually fix this, correct.
Okay, because what I'm saying is.
You guys
Okay.
define, authorization or approval.
Okay, well, I said this several
It's
meetings ago.
defined in the charter.
I said this several meetings ago, okay? We need to stop sending information to the DA office the day of a meeting, and then want them to approve it, and then give us legal advice all at one time. Now, that done happen more than once, okay? More than once. Now, that's what I'm saying, need to stop.
Mrs. Remedy?
Just one thing I think we all need to realize, we're all on the same team, everybody. We're acting like everybody's got to fight each other. Why? You represent us, we work with them, everyone wants the same thing. Let's just start looking at it that way and not being so suspicious. I'm not saying don't do your job, but I can't believe every week we come to a meeting here and it's the same battle. We're on the same team and let's act like it.
Hello?
You got a question?
Yes, we'll rebuttal that.
Mr. Made?
Okay? We're on the same team. So I've been asking this team to get on board with what I said months ago. So if you're on the team and you want this to be a team action, I asked the team several months ago to stop approving based on this, that, and the other. Give it to the legal and let them look at it and get it right. Okay, the whole team should want that because that's part of our team and this is part of our team. Okay, so this is how it goes. They send the contract to legal, legal look at the contract, deem it sufficient, put it on the agenda, it come to us. That's how it go. It don't go, contract go that late, we get to the meeting, well, we ain't had time to look at it yet. We gonna make a motion to pass it and then look at it. That's backwards. It goes to them, they'll have enough time to look at it, then they come to us. So that's how the team operate. So if you want to get the team straight, get administration straight, and get it to them first.
I have a comment.
Ms. Rowbottom first and Mr. Bicknell.
We've repeatedly told you how this works. The process has worked. No documents were signed that were not legally sufficient. And in the interest of time, many times there's 2 weeks between meetings or 3. Now keep in mind, my request is we do the same. There was an attempt tonight to put something on the agenda that nobody saw, not just tonight, several nights, that shows up with no contact with us. Nobody's looked at it. You guys were a prime example. You didn't know what you were talking about. And there was a request from the DA's office to add something to the agenda for you all to approve. So let's make it work both ways.
Actually, no, we didn't. We advised.
For a 5-minute recess? Yes. Motion for a recess.
Motion for recess, Ms. Hortard, second by Mr. Perilou.
All right.
That's exactly what happened. And we said we wanted a meeting. And so what you did was